Welcome to the interior of a 2021 or maybe 2023 Toyota Hilux four-wheel drive car. Now, we are taking this across some very intense landscapes over the next 10 days, and we were thinking about how to tell you where we were, and I thought I would let you maybe take some few guesses while I tell you some fun facts about this place. So first of all, this is one of the least densely populated sovereign nations on the planet. It is third behind Mongolia and Greenland if you count it, even though technically it's managed by Denmark. There are 3.2 people for every square kilometer in this country, and they are numbered vastly by animals. Now, this place is actually home to the largest population of free-roaming cheetahs in the world, which is pretty cool, especially because we just came from a safari in Tanzania, so hopefully we get to see more of these amazing cats. We really fell in love with them there. It also has the oldest desert in the entire world at 55 million years old. It's had a few unique identities over the past, as a lot of African nations have, and it now is one of the few very proud, very well-established democracies in Africa. And last fun fact, since we've had a trend of telling you what movies have been filmed on this location, Mad Max Fury Road was filmed in this country. And it actually caused some backlash because this country has the environmental protection written into their constitution, one of the very few nations on earth that has that written. Very cool.
Drum roll, please. Welcome to Namibia. So the plan here is that over the next 9 days, we're going to be exploring this country, as much of it as we can, via our very done-up Toyota Tacoma, which is very nice and expensive, and now Jeff wants one, so I'm going to try to find things that are very wrong with it so that when we get home we don't spend this amount of money. This is not only going to be our car, but it's also our home. But to be honest, we're staying in a couple guest houses here and there because we just finished up with Tanzania. By the way, if you haven't watched that video, please go back and do so. It was very fun to go to Tanzania. It was a fun one to film as well. And we're going to be living on top of this car. So the first thing I'm going to address, because it's been it was the number one question on my mind before we planned this trip, and also the questions that we got mostly from Jeff's family, is it safe? Is it safe to be here and driving around, because you are in Africa? And yes, it's a super common trip, not one that a lot of Americans do, especially not to the southern part of Africa. But yes, you can rent a car and drive around, hit the Skeleton Coast, maybe do a self-drive safari, and it's supposed to be one of the best trips you could do in Africa, so we are stoked to be here. That being said, petty theft is very much a large crime here, and we talked it over with the rental company where we got our truck from, and they basically said at red lights, keep your windows up. If you're not in the car, don't have anything of value in the front seat, because it's super common for someone to smash your windows and take anything of value in your car, and we have to lock up our car religiously. And not only that, when we are going to grocery stores or gas stations or anything really, you have to tip for everything, which is something that if you go and watch our Egypt video, you know that we hate. But it's just very much the way that the world works here. So this is going to be kind of an interesting place for us, because it's everything that you do they expect a tip. If you park your car and someone's standing in a parking lot because they're watching it, you have to tip them. And if somebody takes your cart out of the store without you asking, you have to tip them, even though you didn't ask them. So it's going to be a very interesting ride here. So we just arrived to our first night's accommodation, which is in a town called Keetmanshoop. It was about $40 US, and it's nice, but yeah, pretty basic. Two beds. And I haven't seen this in a while, but a New Testament next to the bed. Good morning from Keetmanshoop. Nothing to really report from last night other than what we've noticed being in Namibia is that there's barbed wire everywhere, and we had bars on our windows and doors, multiple lock and key, and I assume it's because of all of the petty theft that happens here. But it's very surprising because the vibe here in general is that it's pretty safe. Right now we're on our way to Luterites?
Or Luterites?
Luterites, but we have a very cool stop along the way. 3 hours of driving and we have arrived at an abandoned mining town. Now, if you follow us on social media or if you've gotten to know me over the last couple videos that we've done, I really love abandoned towns, buildings. I think they're so beautiful, and this is the first fully abandoned town I've ever been to in my life, and it's supposed to be especially spooky because everything's filled with sand.
Welcome to Coleman, Scott.
So it is about noon right now, and it closes at 1 p.m., which is a little weird because I don't know why it wouldn't just be open until the sun goes down, but I guess maybe because of safety reasons, and they only do maintenance during the morning and then the workers leave. So it was about $6 USD per person, and we're gonna go park and explore. There's a lot of tourists here, but not nearly as many as we've seen in the past, but I'm excited.
Welcome to the first building right outside of the car park in this amazing town. So just some quick history about this place. It gained prominence in 1908 when a local man found a diamond here, and then the population, which was about 3,000 at that time, basically quadrupled within a couple of years. At that point, this became the wealthiest town, one of the wealthiest towns in the Southern Hemisphere, and during its heyday, it had the only X-ray machine in the Southern Hemisphere, just to give you some perspective. Now, it started to decline a little bit, especially during World War I, but mostly because they found diamonds about 300 kilometers to the south, and they were just on the beach. You didn't need to mine. So a bunch of people just straight up and left and just moved down the coast to go mine on the beach rather than doing the hard labor of mining it here. And eventually it was completely abandoned in 1956. So this place has basically been encapsulated since then, completely left alone to weather the elements of the desert. Now we get to explore, which we're super stoked about.
This is so impressive on so many levels. I love that Mother Nature just kind of took hold of this place and there's sand everywhere. It looks very creepy and mysterious, but it's also, like Jeff said a couple of minutes ago, kind of a safe place to go because it is a park. So I'm glad we get to experience it in the middle of Africa. This looks like one of the houses, probably.
Yeah, so we've seen bathrooms, like an inventor's place, the bowling alley.
And this is someone's house, someone rich. A couple people have been here. So they say that if you come in here, it's at your own risk because it's so dangerous. The floors are falling through. The ceilings are not in great condition.
You want to take a bath?
But there is a bathtub, little sand bath. Good view.
It's crazy because the floor is gone here, but it's just sand.
What's crazy to me is this house is massive. This is a huge house. Looks like they had like a sunroom.
The sand in this building behind me is just like pouring down through the windows and doors. It's crazy. Just everything is being completely retaken by the desert. Someone needs to give that guy a promotion because, well done, stuff's still standing.
So we think this is the library, and this one has maybe the worst floors and ceilings that we've seen in the building so far. For example, definitely not going up there. Or maybe I am, I don't know. There is a perfectly good staircase here. It's just completely open.
It's just in, American Tourist Eyes.
Jeff, how could you say that?
Don't walk out there. You literally 2 seconds ago we were just like, this is the worst roof that we've seen yet. And you're like, hey, hold my beer.
Yeah, but once you see this panel.
Oh, well, I'm sure once we say we did it for the gram, it'll be, that is really great. Follow us on Instagram.
So we only explored half of the town, which is very sad.
70%, come on. It's like what, those two buildings?
Jeff doesn't like it.
I do like it. We have to go.
But there's still a lot to explore. That being said, super cool, very impressive. I loved it. If you are ever in Namibia and doing a road trip, you need to put this on your list because it's fantastic. Now we are headed to a town called Luderitz. It's about 15 minutes from here and it's on the coast. So Namibia is supposed to have really, really good seafood as well. So we're gonna try to get some lobster because, fun fact, it's actually really cheap here. So Jeff and I just finished up lunch. My lobster was good, but there was very little of it. And he got sushi. Oh my God. My car alarm keeps going off because I'm sitting in it. I'll just lock the doors the old-fashioned way. Anyway, his lobster was absolutely terrible, but for dinner tonight, we had to run to the grocery store in town. There's only one, and it is a very intense place to be. Like, there are at least 100 people surrounding this grocery store, and a lot of the people that insist for tips because they're watching your car, they like surround you as soon as you park. So Jeff and I made the game plan, like Jeff's going inside and I'm gonna watch the car. And immediately when Jeff got out of the car, this dude was just waiting with a vest on and basically asking for money. This is, it's super uncomfortable, and I get it. Like, tips kind of run the world in certain areas. So kind of an uncomfortable situation.
We're heading to our campsite right now. It's called Mount D''Urban. So Durban, maybe? Not entirely too sure. But we have basically entered almost a Wadi Rum-like landscape, and it is absolutely stunning. We went to go get groceries, and there's this thing that we read about. Basically, whenever you park your car, there's always some guy in like a vest to make himself look more official, you know, and they'll come over and say they're gonna watch your car. Now, they do this all over the world, Egypt, Uruguay, whatever. It's just a thing, and you just give them a couple coins and they watch your car. However, in this particular case, Bree ended up staying in the car, and I guess the guy got in a fight with another guy who was trying to encroach in his territory wearing a vest also, and like one of them picked up a 2x4, but everyone was okay. Anyway, Luderitz is a weird town. So I'm gonna show you this landscape, and then I cannot wait to give you a tour of our accommodation tonight. Looks like we found it. The GPS was a little bit off. It told us to go further down the road, although maybe there's a second entrance. Ooh, sorry, that's bright. I think it is safe to say we're in the middle of absolute nowhere. Maybe the most remote we've camped except for the northern Serengeti, but there were tons of other like tour groups there. We made it just in time. It's 5:50. We basically have to be off the road at 6:30, and I don't think we actually said this yet, but there are so many wild animals here that it's such a risk, and so many people get in car accidents with animals that they basically, none of the rental places let you drive past sunset, and you have to sign an agreement agreeing that you are not going to do that. And at first we were like, okay, there's been nothing on these roads, but on the way here we spotted these two massive, they're not deer and they're not antelope, but there's something in that family, jump basically the gate that lines the road, and they were huge, and they would absolutely total this car, and there are no street lights. So I think it's good advice. So after some debate, we're gonna try and get the passenger side this way, because that's the front door on our tent, and we want this awesome view. Also, the other thing is that the ladder goes down on this side, and that means we can get to our bathroom much easier. Stop. Oh, sorry, you're fine. Turns out dust gets through this little gap. There's dust everywhere. Good times.
Time to set up the bed. Ow.
Take it all the way off. Yeah. Or, no, yeah, now pull it all the way off.
Now we have to use these to prop up our windows. Yep. So we are actually one of 3 campsites here, but only one of the other couples has arrived, and there's us, and the rest is completely empty. But before the sun goes down, let me give you a quick tour. So this is our campsite in the middle of nowhere. with our view. We have a little sink. You can do dishes here, do some cooking. A fire pit because a lot of people grill meats out here. It's a very big thing. Trash can, bathroom, sink, mirror, and of course our shower with a view, and our toilet with toilet paper, so huge win. So now I'm just trying to get our bed ready for the night. We rented sleeping bags from our car company, and hopefully they're pretty warm because it actually gets really cold here at night. I think usually around 40 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit, so definitely a little brisk. Voila, 5-star hotel. So we got the bed set up, and now we're just making some dinner. Some sausages with spaghetti whenever that decides to warm up. And just enjoying this beautiful view. Jeff doing dishes.
All right, coffee has started. I feel like we should talk a little bit about last night, but for that I think we should call in a guest speaker. Let's see if she's awake. How was last night?
Well, I underestimated how cold it is in Namibia. I was frozen all night, and I feel like I'm wearing like every piece of clothing that I own. And also Jeff and I, well, mostly me, I'm a little claustrophobic, so a sleeping bag is not comfortable because I turn and it feels very narrow. So I opened it up as a blanket, but everything underneath me just froze me to death. I don't know if I slept, to be honest.
Man, froze my butt off. And this morning when I got out, I rolled up the front flap and it was just covered in condensation. And she said there's frost on top of the tent. It's just crazy, you know? I mean, it's like 80 to 90 degrees during the day here, and then at night it is Arctic. I don't know how else to describe it.
Jeff and I are finally headed out onto the road, and I decided to check the weather for tonight just because I was curious. Last night was, I think, 42 degrees Fahrenheit, and tonight is going to be 32 degrees Fahrenheit, so I'm just going to be mentally preparing to freeze all night. But otherwise, it's a gorgeous morning, and I really appreciate the sun being out right now.